SmackDown was in New Orleans, Louisiana, at the Smoothie King Center, and right off the bat, I have to give props to the New Orleans crowd because they were pretty good tonight. And I think New Orleans has become a strong market for WWE, and that's because they've ran 2 WrestleManias there. They've had 2 WrestleManias in the Superdome, 30 and 34. And 30 was a fantastic show, one of the best WrestleManias of all time. And 34 was a decent show. I'd say it was all right. And I think now that's become a strong market, and that before that, I don't know if that was ever a really strong market for WWE. New Orleans was always big for Southern wrestling, but for Northern wrestling, the WWE that it was still viewed as, I'm not so sure. But I think now it's become much stronger, and I think the state of Louisiana owed us that after that pathetic performance by Lafayette last night. And during the show, they showed some stuff on Bourbon Street of highlights from the last 2 WrestleManias. They started with Shane McMahon, and he talks about how the same 4 guys we saw in NXT on Raw last night, they're going to be here. Johnny Gargano. He just calls him Ciampa when he talks about Tommaso Ciampa, but that was a little concerning. Are they just going to get rid of his first name now? Tommaso. It's not a tough guy name. That's probably Vince thinks. He's just going to be Ciampa now. You have Ricochet, you have Aleister Black. Miz comes out, and he's apologizing. He's crying. It's like, this is just horrible. I hate this segment. I hate this thing. Miz is doing really good here. He's trying. I hate the feud. I'm not into it. Usos come out. They mock them. They mock Miz. They call him soft. It's funny. Shane McMahon's viewed as the tough guy as the team, and yet The Miz is the guy who main evented WrestleMania and won the main event of WrestleMania one year, and now Shane is still viewed as the alpha of the team. It's just terrible. So we have Aleister Black come out. He's facing Andrade Cien Almas, which is great because they had the match last year at NXT TakeOver New Orleans in the same arena. Aleister Black beat Andrade for the title. Zelina Vega was heavily involved in that match because she interfered a lot. And if you know something about Zelina Vega and Aleister Black in real life, they're actually a couple. They're married. So it's a bit awkward, I think, that she's around Almas all day. I mean, my God, Aleister Black's a lucky motherfucker. But Almas and Black, I mean, I guess they must have hooked up around the time he was feuding. They were feuding. They have a good match here. It's I don't know how much longer we're going to see Almas in NXT or on the main roster. I mean, he might ask for his release. It wouldn't surprise me at all. One thing with Black and Almas, they could do if they want to turn Aleister Black heel or they want to give him a female accomplice. If Andrade is going to leave, what you could do is have Zelina Vega turn on Andrade and then have her join with Aleister Black, and they can be like this couple demon devil worshippers if you want. I think she can fit with him because she has a really good look. She has a really dark hair. I think she'd fit well with her husband if they would ever put them together. They could do that if they ever considered that. But Black wins. They had a good match. Obviously not the clock. They've had 2 matches on TakeOver. This is their 3rd match. Black's beat them all 3 times. They had the one in 2 years ago during WrestleMania weekend in Orlando. Black won that. Then he beat him the next year again for the title in New Orleans, and he beat him again. So 3 straight wins for Aleister Black over Almas. They go into the back, and it's Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. And one thing I just couldn't get out of my head was how small and how tiny they looked compared to Sheamus and Cesaro. It was like, oh my God, it's so apparent. I was thinking, are these guys going to be stuck in 205 Live? And I hate what they're doing with Ciampa. They're making him like this underdog babyface. That's a Gargano, but I hate how they're using Ciampa. Like, the guy's a fucking killer heel in NXT. I hate that they're going to use him this way, it seems like. But you see the 2 of them and Sheamus and Cesaro making fun of them. They're ripping on them. They're mocking them. And it just didn't come off well at all. I did not like that segment. Eventually, they have they show Jeff Hardy and AJ Styles interacting with the New Day because they're the main event, a 6-man tag. So he gives them an olive branch. It's like an olive pancake branch. Next, we have Sheamus and Cesaro against Gargano and Ciampa. And this was another very good match. So you've had 2 really good matches with the NXT guys. The Bar gets the heat on Ciampa, then they get the heat on Gargano for a while, and Ciampa makes the save. Eventually, we have a good finish here. I wish they would have been more decisive, but the Ciampa and Gargano won. To be fair, the Bar has been a heavily pushed team for a while, so they have to have a competitive match against them. They can't just squash them. In the end, Ciampa gets a roll-up victory over Cesaro. Or was it Sheamus? I'm not sure remember, but he gets the world victory. Ciampa, I think, got the win 2 nights in a row now. They win. I guess, I don't know what they're going to do with DIY. I wish they'd be feuding with each other. They might turn. It's possible they go back to NXT. I don't know if this is permanent. It doesn't seem like it's permanent. I kind of hope not. I hope this is just like a 1 week thing. We get to see them, then they can all come up to the main roster after WrestleMania. I think all 4 of those guys are going to be up soon. Ciampa and Gargano have been in NXT for 3 years since they came in the Cruiserweight Classic, and then they had the tag team run. They had the heel turn. That's 3 years in NXT. That's enough. Gargano might be the best worker in the whole company, and Ciampa is probably within the top 10 of the best workers, top 15 at least. They better come up. There's nothing for else to do in NXT. And Aleister Black, I think, he's been there, 2 years? I think he's been there long enough. His character is done in NXT. I think they've done everything they can do with this character. And his character shouldn't be losing to guys beneath him. He's already had his run. And Ricochet's still young there, but I think Ricochet, when he came in, he probably wasn't going to... I think Triple H told him probably a year in NXT before he comes to the main roster because he was a bigger name on the indies. So you have Joe in the back. He's with Orton, Daniel Bryan, and Rowan. Pretty boring segment. I don't know what they're doing with Joe. I did not care for just hyping up the 6-man tag. We have they show a feature on Ricochet. So finally, Asuka comes out, and you have Kayla Braxton, who looks fantastic. I have to give her that. You have a trio of smoking hot backstage interviews. You have Kayla Braxton, you have Kathy Kelly, and you have Charlie Caruso. So all of them looking great. Kayla looks really cute here. She's interviewing Asuka. Her English isn't too bad. She talks really loudly, and she screams, and she wants a new challenge. She rips Becky. She beat Becky, and she beat Charlotte. Well, technically, she didn't even beat Charlotte. She beat Becky. She didn't have to face Becky. She's beating her at the Rumble, but she didn't actually beat Charlotte in a one-on-one match. Mandy Rose interrupts with Sonya Deville. She challenged her to a match. It's a bad segment. They have a match, and Lacey Evans comes out early. There's rumors of Lacey Evans and Asuka. I'd rather see that than Mandy Rose because they're going to put Mandy Rose over. They're going to give Mandy Rose this title soon. So it's a non-title match. Mandy Rose pins Asuka. And I guess they're probably going to have a match at Fastlane, but it was a fluke victory. But they're so behind Mandy Rose, it's not even fun. And we all knew it would happen. We all knew Vince sees someone who looks like Mandy Rose, a smoking hot blonde like her. He'll push her to the moon. It's going to be just a massive, massive push for her. And the fans are going to reject it, even though she's not too bad in the ring at all. She's pretty decent, but because they feel you see her as a hot blonde who Vince wants, it's going to cause a lot. The internet's going to be in a shitstorm over her. But Mandy Rose gets the win. They'll probably have a rematch at Fastlane. I don't think she's going to beat Asuka just yet. Charlotte Flair's in the back. She talks about the rivalry with Becky. She's interviewed. I don't know what they're going to do if they're going to have a match at Fastlane, but I don't know. I don't think they will. I think they're just going to do a triple threat. And they're just going to get back in because I was thinking they can have a match at Fastlane. The winner faces Ronda, but I think they're just going to do a triple threat and they're just going to get Becky in to show. And by the way, on Raw this Monday, it's Atlanta, Georgia. That segment's going to be really good. The Ric Flair birthday celebration in Atlanta. I wish it was in Charlotte because SmackDown's actually in Charlotte next week. They should have had SmackDown in Atlanta and Raw in Charlotte because that would have just been a perfect segment. It's going to be in Atlanta. That's going to be it's going to be a great segment, I have to say. I think everyone's looking forward for it. They show Miz and Shane. He thanks them. I forgot to mention, Shane announced there's a rematch at Fastlane for the titles. You're going to see Miz and Shane challenge the Usos for the titles again, so they're going to have an automatic rematch. Shane can do automatic rematches. So. Next, we have Ricochet out. He's facing Eric Young, who I don't expect to be in this company much longer. I mean, he could stay, but I think Killian Dane's very unhappy, judging by his tweets. That guy's, he knows he can be a name. He can be a star. He has a good look to him. He can be a monster, but he's unhappy. Alexander Wolf, I don't think, has much talent, so he might just want to stay, but I think Killian Dane, I don't know. There's problems there. The match wasn't too long. It was fine. It was, a showcase for Ricochet. All this was a showcase for NXT. They wanted to get NXT over, or they're already over, but they want to get them to the main audiences to shake things up. get people talking. I hope they're not here permanently because I think they can all have better debuts. And I wish they just let them go back to NXT and finish up there. This is the biggest takeover they've ever done. It's New York City during WrestleMania. You can't get bigger than that. It's not SummerSlam Brooklyn. This is Brooklyn in New York City during WrestleMania. New York. So it's the biggest takeover they've ever had. I think they should all still be in NXT for a while, at least until that show's over. So Ricochet hits a great 630 splash. Ricochet wins. He's had a good showcase. It's 2 wins. They all won. It was fine. It was a nice showcase for all these guys. Kofi Kingston cuts a great promo, one of his best promos. He talks about how Kofi Mania, the influence of Twitter, he wants to be in that match at Elimination Chamber and how they pushed him to be in the match. He does a great promo here. It's like they're going to get really behind him. I don't think he's facing Daniel Bryan or WrestleMania, but if he doesn't, the fans might turn on whoever Daniel Bryan is facing. They show Kevin Owens. The same video they showed on Raw, him in the movie theater with his son, was stupid. Daniel Bryan comes up first for the main event. Pretty average promo. Kind of, same thing he always says. He's good at it. So we have Daniel Bryan, Randy Orton, and Samoa Joe. Eric Rowan's with them against Kingston, AJ, and Hardy. Also have the New Day out too. You have a good main event. It was probably my least favorite match. I'd say it was better than the Ricochet match, but I think you had 4 good matches, to be honest. All 4 of them were decent. You had the opener, Alistair and Andrade. You had Gargano and Ciampa against the Bar. You had Eric Young and Ricochet, and you have the 6-man tag. You had 4 good matches. The majority of the show was wrestling. I think people would like that. Went on for a while. It was a good main event. You have Kofi Kingston hits the Trouble in Paradise, pins Daniel Bryan. So Kingston has pinned Daniel Bryan 2 times on SmackDown. It's 2-1, basically. He gets the victory. After the match, you have Shane McMahon come out, and he announces Daniel Bryan will defend his title against Kofi Kingston at Fastlane. So we have our main event, or one of the main events for Fastlane. It's set, Daniel Bryan versus Kofi Kingston. SmackDown was a very fun show. Like New Orleans is one of the best wrestling cities now for WWE. It was a fun show. Crowd was into it. He had a lot of good wrestling, good showcase for NXT, a decent main event, set up Fastlane. I enjoyed the show. I thought this was a much better show than Raw.